Alright, United Units. United Units is these four topics, all of them put under just one really big word that is just so, I'd say, essential for this all to be connected. Remix. Remix is basically, in my own words, remix is just keeping the same thing but altering it to your point of view or something else. Uh, as you can see in the essay here, the remix with Shakespeare. Shakespeare is not original. He did not come up with Romeo and Juliet or Hamlet or stuff like that. He is a really, really, really old remixer. He made Romeo and Juliet per se, but he did not come up with the idea of two lovers coming in from rival houses and killing themselves in the name of love. Because, as you said before, Mr. Griffin, that came from a book. Yeah. And all the love stories and stuff like that. A love story is a remix of someone's love. And, well, also art. Art is a remix of just what you see. How many times have you ever seen someone paint a bowl of fruit? That every time you see that, it's a remix because a lot of people have painted bowls of fruit, and technically all of art is a remix because it is making something in your mind look reality, which is a remix of your own thoughts. And what really makes a remix a remix? I'd say, just if you think about it, 98% of things in what I think would be not original, remix, changed up. Anything from movies, music, art, all of it is just a remix. But Shakespeare claimed it as his own. But as you can see, it connects to a rite of passage. How so? The remix is a rite of passage. Well, it's somewhat like a rite of passage because our remix, everyone has their own rite of passage, and the original rite of passage is something else, which means every rite of passage is a remix of something else. And right here, rite of passage, people of all ages or ethnicities or something like that, everyone has their own form of rite of passage. A rite of passage is just anything that you have to do to get to another thing. But if you think about it, a rite of passage is a threatening stereotype, because if A plus B equals C, if that is true, then how come that would be a rite of passage and a stereotype at the same time? Because if you're black and you do this, which means you're a rapist or something like that. Why? Because you're an Asian that eats rice in class makes you just Asian. If you were just like white and you did this and you did this, you're this. How come? Why? Why do people make fun of people with stereotypes? Just because they do this doesn't mean they have to do this. Or if they do that, why is it funny? Because, and just, why do people, how do people know about these stereotypes? Is it because of it's just been around for so long that people know? or just everything about it. It's just nasty. People like I'm saying people just it's annoying. It's annoying about these stereotypes because they're just dangerous. In the news, there's been people that have been bullied because of their skin color, that because they've been doing certain things that their race normally would do. People get beat up all the time because of stereotypes. And how does that make it cool? Is a stereotype just a self-fulfilling prophecy as well as a rite of passage? Isn't that also a self-fulfilling prophecy? Because if you do this, you will become a man. And then you have to go through a certain rite of passage or just a method of you going through it, and you get to become that man that everyone makes fun of, or you get to be the big man that your parents never, or your dad would never was, and so on. But a rite of passage is a remix, but also hip hop is the biggest remix next to Shakespeare. Uh, uh hip hop back in the old days was just everyone would get records and then they would bring it back and play it forward and then bring it back and play it forward for a good 30 to 40 seconds, and people would dance to it, do everything about it, and blah blah blah. While all that is happening, just it's crazy how hip hop, which is just remixes of all a bunch of different songs, became its own genre of songs. And hip hop is basically just, it literally is the most open about saying how everything about a certain song is a remix of another song, such as blah 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 remix in quotation marks blah blah blah. And hip hop was one of the first genres of music to openly admit of remix. And because of hip hop, it connects to a rite of passage because every song is a remix, which is uh, just a rite of passage to the completed song per se. And because of that, hip hop is a stereotype because everyone says hip hop is a remix of another song. No matter how old it is or something like that, it's a remix of something. But then about remixing, Shakespeare comes in, and he is one of the older remixers, which begs the question, who is the original? Who came up with all of Shakespeare's little plays and ideas that made him make the plays? Or who came up with a rite of passage that made people men or determined who did what? Just why? Who did it? It was, is it made by ancient humans that were like, if you do this, you will become a man? Or is it blah, is it just because of that, everyone has to do this to become this great? Or a stereotype. Who came up with the stereotype? Was it just an observant person making a bad joke? Or just really, if people made fun of people because of their race, who made it up? Wouldn't they be made fun of because of their stereotype? Or were people afraid of being called a stereotype? But stereotypes are sometimes just remixes, and the remixes of everything have everything is just about hip hop is a remix. And the really just one big word that unites this whole United Units thing is a remix. Remix. The one big word that ties everything together and everything about it, from just really old people to new things. Everything is a remix. 98% in my own opinion is a remix. A plus B equals C. That is a remix of rites of passage with a threatening stereotype. This video is a remix because this is the third time I've said this. And that would mean the other two. No, the other one was a remix. Well, the first video is the original, which makes this a remix. And possibly everything around you is a remix. Be sure to like, comment, and subscribe, and we will be back for more.